This is the cheapest iPhone ever sold new from Apple. How does it stack up, and is it worth the price tag of $399? Let's find out. After some time with this brand new iPhone SE, here's my full review on this 2020 budget-friendly iPhone. Hey guys, and welcome to Affordable Tech. My name is David, and this is where you can find videos showcasing budget tech that doesn't sacrifice on quality. So if you enjoy tech and like saving money, just make sure to subscribe. So this iPhone is definitely the center of attention in the smartphone community right now. Being Apple's cheapest iPhone, there are definitely some great benefits of it being only $399. And many people are saying it's going to rattle the smartphone community quite a bit. On the other hand, some people say it's not really what people want, so therefore it won't make much of a difference. In reality, both of these ideas have validity. And personally, I feel there's definitely going to be an impact, but perhaps not as much of an impact as some people are thinking. That being said, these are just my thoughts and I could totally be wrong. I think this iPhone in general was a great move for Apple and will for sure suck new individuals into the Apple ecosystem, generating them even more money through services and other products. I feel as though this iPhone is specifically targeted at the majority of the general market. For the individuals who really don't care about the brand of their phone and just want something that's cheap, dependable, and long-lasting. And I gotta say, this is definitely that. So in this review, I'm gonna do my best to show you the capabilities of this iPhone and help you decide if it's the right purchase for you. If you're interested in the full content that come in the box of this iPhone, click above to check out my unboxing of it. So let's walk through the specs for each category and then dive in deeper onto each specific topic. So firstly, it comes in 64, 128, and 256 gigabyte options. This one in specific is the 64 gigabyte model at $399. It weighs 148 grams, and for the display, it's a 4.7 inch LCD panel, which comes at 1334 by 750 pixel resolution at 326 ppi. It has a 1400 to 1 contrast ratio and 625 nits of max brightness. It's True Tone capable and has haptic touch. Power-wise, it has the A13 Bionic chip, which is the same chip found in the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro series. It also has 3 gigabytes of RAM. It's water resistant at an IP67 rating, which means it has a maximum depth of 1 meter for up to 30 minutes. In regards to the battery, it's 1,821 milliamp hours, and it also is compatible with wireless charging. For the camera on the back, it's 12 megapixels. It has an aperture of f1.8, it is portrait mode capable, and it has optical image stabilization for photos and videos. Speaking of video, it has 4K recording at 24, 30, and 60 FPS, and Full HD recording at 30 or 60, with slow motion at 120 or 240. The front-facing camera is 7 megapixels with an f2.2 aperture. It has portrait mode capability and 1080p HD video recording at 30 FPS. So let's firstly start with the display. Clearly, right off the bat, it's not a modern design. It's actually the exact design found on the 6, 6S, 7, and 8 iPhone models. This, I assume, is one of the reasons Apple was able to keep the price down low. That being said, it's definitely a great LCD panel. It has awesome colors and is very bright, and Apple definitely has one of the best LCD panels on the market, with the exception of the resolution. At 1334 by 750, it's not even Full HD, which kind of sucks in my opinion, but it's just how Apple rolls. Another downside is that it doesn't have touch to wake, but it does have lift to wake. For casual use, the resolution is going to be just fine, and it's not very noticeable unless you're specifically looking. So the display still looks good, but like I said, the only downside is the resolution. So this form factor is a staple of the iPhone. We've seen this form factor all the way since the iPhone 6, like I said earlier, and to be honest, it still feels very nice. In the hand, it feels fairly grippy, but it still has a chance for slippage. It's also very comfortable to use one-handed. In comparison to my iPhone XS Max, I kind of struggle with that in some cases. It has a fully glass back and aluminum sides with antenna cutouts. It's a really minimal form factor and is something that kind of has regrown on me. Going from a XS Max, I feel like I'm holding an iPod Touch. It seriously is that much smaller and lighter. The biggest thing I would have wished for is an extended display. Let's talk about the home button for a second. If you're unaware, the home button does not actually physically move. It's just a pane of glass, and the feedback you get is from the Taptic engine inside. It's pretty neat, and you can adjust the intensity of it with 3 different options. The fact that it doesn't press down physically helps a lot with water resistance. So the biometric security on this is going to be Touch ID. Touch ID with this home button works great. It's fast, responsive, and I'm sure most of you have experienced it in the past. In comparison to the iPhone 11, they seem pretty similarly timed, but in my experience, Face ID is just a little bit more practical, but Touch ID is still right up there. Performance on this iPhone is incredible, as expected. I mean, with a smaller screen and less pixels to push, it could potentially run even better than the iPhone 11 Pros. The A13 is definitely a beast. On Geekbench 4, it scored a single score of 5461 and a multi-core of 13,755. And on Geekbench 5, it has a single core of 1337 and a multi of 3052. These really are incredible scores. So with the strength of this processor, of course, everything you're going to be doing on this iPhone is going to be seamless. From web browsing, gaming, multitasking, etc. You can really play any game on the App Store with ease with no lag unless it's a web-based application and your Wi-Fi isn't the greatest. Games with in-depth graphics are great to run. My only complaint gaming on this would be that my fingers are too big for the screen, so it kind of obstructs a lot of my view. But performance-wise, you're not going to have any issues whatsoever. This is definitely a future-proof processor. So I know battery life is going to play a very big factor in deciding whether to purchase this iPhone or not. While the 1821 mAh is a very small battery, the processor on this iPhone, while being so powerful, it's also really efficient. And also with the display not even being Full HD, you really don't have that many pixels to push either. Apple claims you can watch up to 13 hours of videos on a single charge, and then when streaming videos you can get up to 8 hours, which still seems like a pretty high claim. So in my experience, I've gotten some pretty good screen on time, and I'd say you're probably going to get an average of about 5 to 6 hours, depending on your uses. The 6-hour screen on time is going to include moderate gaming, web browsing, phone calls, messaging, etc. Also in regards to battery, this iPhone is actually capable of up to 18 watts of charging. Yet in the box, Apple only gives you a 5-watt charger. With an 18-watt charger, you can charge your iPhone from 0 to 50% in just 30 minutes. If you get this iPhone, I would definitely recommend checking out my video on a budget-friendly fast charging kit, which would include just the power brick and a charging cable. It's right around $20, and it's definitely going to save you a significant amount of time, and it's also a very high quality charger. Overall, I think for casual use, this battery is going to be very sufficient for the majority of users. In regards to software, the ease of use with iOS is almost unbeatable. iOS has always been fairly simple and self-explanatory, and it has minimal customization options in comparison to Android. That's where this phone shines to its targeted market. Most people in the market for a good and reliable phone are not necessarily interested in significant customization. They just want it to make sense and be easy to use. iOS provides just that. Super easy use and doesn't overcomplicate things. Overall, like I said, for its directed target market, iOS is definitely a big plus. Lastly, let's walk through the camera. So the camera on this may just be the best standalone camera on any smartphone at this price range, and perhaps in a higher tiered market. Although it's older hardware, the updated chip allows for much better processing, giving you a great result when it comes to taking pictures and video. Here's some examples of some photos I took. Outdoors it looks great, and indoors just the same. The color reproduction is on point, sharpness and detail as well. Also, here's some portrait mode examples. Portrait mode is strictly software developed, so you're definitely going to notice it's not perfect. Hair strands that are out are usually blurred, causing the picture to look a little fake. But when it gets it right, it does look great. Keep in mind, portrait mode only works on people and no other objects. Now here are some video examples shot on this iPhone handheld. The image stabilization is great, and I have no complaints there. You can see here, while following my puppy, she stays in focus and it doesn't look shaky. It's pretty solid overall. It also has slow motion at 1080p up to 240 FPS, and that slows it down by a factor of 8. So you can definitely get some silky shots with that. So here's my conclusion on this iPhone. What it brings to the table at $399 is actually a lot. In a world where smartphone makers are making iPhones $1,000, $2,000 plus even, this is definitely going to play a big role in the market. And the casual smartphone market is much more widespread than many may recognize. For a great dependable long-term option for a cheap smartphone, this is definitely a recommendation of mine. It's a cheap entryway into the Apple ecosystem, and in fact you can buy this iPhone, AirPods, and an Apple Watch all less than the price of the iPhone 11 Pro, which is pretty significant. And with Apple's simplistic and user-friendly software, it'll be a lot more of a consideration for people who just want a cheap, dependable, and easy-to-use smartphone. I don't necessarily think it'll be for you if you're into tech and like small bezels, a high-resolution display, multiple cameras, etc. But if you care less about the display and are on a budget, this could definitely be a consideration for you. Also, just something to throw out there, I'm aware of Samsung's A51 and A71, which both come in at around $399 or less. I'll consider making a comparison video with one of those to this iPhone at some point in the future, so just make sure to stay tuned for that Android versus iPhone budget smartphone comparison. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video and found some value out of it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. Also, this is my 4th video on my weekly video progress, and it's kind of been a struggle. I need to get into more of a flow of production so I can produce the same high quality content in a more efficient time frame. If I can do that and get to half the time it takes me to make each video, maybe at some point I'll produce 2 videos a week, but right now for the foreseeable future, I'm going to stick to that 1 video a week. So I appreciate you all, especially if you stayed till the end, and I'll see you in a bit.